Hey friends, I am here with a very, very, very special person today. I first met this person on a TED Talk. I was sitting at my computer like you may be doing now and watching a TED Talk from Iowa City, Iowa, and I was newly diagnosed with MS, and this beautiful person in front of me was telling her story. And I thought, if she can do it, I can do it. And I went out and bought a Vitamix because it's like, I got to have a Vitamix. And so the journey started. Now I'll take you through a little bit about how I met this beautiful person and got here to today, but I'm like ready to cry right now. However, I'm so excited because the reason I'm here today, one is because of you. Hello and thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
And two, because I want to talk about your new, I'm going to do a little, when I put this out to my community, I'll do a little bio in front of it. But you hung out at the University of Iowa. You were a conventional doctor. Your life got turned upside down and you were diagnosed with MS. And it was not a pretty picture. Things were not going the way you wanted. And then suddenly you found yourself trying to do anything you could to kind of hang on. And so just for the people who don't know your story, at that point in time, you were in a tilt recline wheelchair. You were trying to hang on to your job, your life, kind of your brain, and you started studying. And take me from that point of, because I find that amazing, right there, that brain shift. What was that brain shift for you?
So, at that point, conventional internal medicine doc, I had treated my disease very aggressively, taking the newest drugs from the best people at the best MS centers in the country. But at this point, it was very clear I was headed towards becoming bedridden, demented. I also have trigeminal neuralgia, which is jolts of electrical face pain. Those were getting more frequent, more severe, more difficult to turn off. So it was very clear I was on track to become bedridden, demented, and probably intractable pain. And so I was reading the basic science. I discovered ancestral health principles. I'd been following, a meticulous paleo diet as described by Lauren Cordain, no grain, no legumes, no dairy. I was still declining. I was reading some basic science, experimenting with supplements, and they helped my fatigue a tiny bit, but I was still declining. That summer, I discovered the Institute for Functional Medicine. I took their course on neuroprotection, had a longer list of supplements, which I added. And then, I'm still declining, although more slowly. And then I have a really big aha moment. Like, what if I redesign my paleo diet in a very specific way based on what I had learned from functional medicine and my reading the basic science, all these supplements I was taking? What if I redesigned my diet to stress these nutrients in food? And so, again, that's several more months of research. But I finally get this new way of organizing my eating. Still paleo, but now less meat and many, many more vegetables in a very particular fashion. And what happens is my pain goes away. My brain fog goes away.
Tell me about that brain fog too, because I know so many people live with that brain fog, and I know you're going to carry that on, but there had to be that moment where you woke up one day and went, what just happened, or what's not happening? How did that feel?
It sort of comes on gradually. I realized that I'm functioning better at work, and I'm just like, well, I do have more energy, and thinking is more clear. It's just not as much of a struggle. My short-term memory is better, and then I'm realizing, my pain is less. So I'm struck by that. A month into this new way of eating, I'm really struck by my pain is less. My energy is less. And I'd been assigned to a new job, going to the traumatic brain injury clinic, which at the time, when I'd been told about this 6 months earlier, my wife and I interpret this as it's the VA's way of telling me that we're done redesigning your job so you can keep working. You're going to have to take medical retirement, because they described a job that I knew physically I couldn't do. But, you know, so in 6 months later, I was going to have to go to this traumatic brain injury clinic, examine these patients without any residents. And I knew physically that was more than what I could do. But, you know, finally it had happened. But of course, in the meantime, I had discovered functional medicine. I had redesigned my paleo diet.
You redesigned your life.
In a
They were
very
going to
big way.
redesign it another way, and you just redesigned it and turned it on its head.
And you know, and so I went to this new job.
Yeah.
And it's like at the end of the first week, I was just watching my colleagues do the exams, like, okay, you should be able to just watch. So I wasn't surprised I could do that. But then the next week, when it was my turn to do the exams, at the end of the week, I thought, what happened? I just did this and it was okay. At the end of the second week of doing that, I realized this is going to be okay. I can do this job. And that is when I realized, you know, and my pain is gone. And my mental clarity, I just feel so much more clear. And then in another month, and this is remarkable, I have a letter to mail. And normally I'd take my wheelchair down the hall and go mail it. And I thought, you know, I think I can do this. So I had my walking sticks with me. And I put my letter in my pocket and I just walked. Now, true, it's using my walking sticks, but I walked 200 yards to the mailbox and mail it. And so people in the hall were like, "Oh my God, Dr. Wahls, what happened to you? You're walking." You know, I was walking. And then, you know, another 3 months, I get on my bike for the first time in 6 years, and I bike around the block. I'm crying. My 2 children are crying. My wife is crying. And that's when it's apparent to me that the conventional understanding of progressive multiple sclerosis is incomplete, and that who knows how much recovery might be possible.
That is so amazing. Just so amazing.
Yes.
And I can never hear that story enough, because it inspires me every time, from when I saw it on a TED Talk to right now. And even more so, the first time I heard it, I kind of missed this little spot where you said you were trying to just slow down the progression. You didn't know. It wasn't your plan to turn it all around. You were just trying to slow it down.
I just wanted to slow it down because my conventional training and all of the neurologists I ever saw at the MS centers around the country had all said progressive MS is progressive, that we don't anticipate any recovery. So take all these really potent, really expensive drugs in an effort to slow your decline. And so I was doing all this stuff, not to recover, because I knew that wasn't possible.
Wow.
It was to slow the decline. You know, and in fact, Amy, so I'd already recovered remarkably. I'm walking around the neighborhood, walking around the block. But anyone with a progressive illness, part of the process you go through, you know, anger, denial, bargaining, and you finally get to acceptance. And you can just take each day one day at a time.
Yeah.
So as I was recovering, I was still taking it one day at a time, didn't really know what it meant. And I wasn't thinking long-term. I was just like, okay, I guess I can do the traumatic brain injury clinic. But when I got on my bike, that's when I understood, like, you know, how much recovery might be possible. How close back to normal could I get? And that's when I also really embraced that the conventional understanding of MS was incomplete. And I was fully on board with telling my primary care patients and my traumatic brain injury patients that creating health was their best tool. And to create health, this is all about vegetables, it's about meditation, it's about getting a step counter and walking. And I started discovering that, you know, I was actually very good at telling people how to incorporate this in their daily lives. And I was seeing transformation after transformation in the traumatic brain injury clinic and in the primary care clinics.
That is just a story that never gets old. And as I my story is the hula hoop, of course, but it's always intertwined with my story with you, because I started hula hooping and eating healthy food all at the same time. And it was sort of like, for me, that perfect punch. And for me, it's also meditative, because I
Yes.
get in that hula hoop and I can just tune out the world. And go ahead.
This is about creating health, and we create
Yeah,
health not through drugs. We create health through a diet and lifestyle
right.
that embraces these health behaviors, not
So
disease behaviors.
yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And not that I'm not anti-drug or anti-therapy, but I am pro you,
Oh
pro
yeah.
figuring out what's good for you. And for me, I was only on drug therapy for a short time. I didn't feel like it was helping. I got scared into it. It was after a terrible year of stress. And then I left it. And that's actually why I came to see you, because I
Yes.
wanted to leave it. It was after that terrible, terrible, stressful year that my husband had been very sick, and I ended up having a lesion that was on my MRI that actually was no longer active, but they scared me into drug therapy anyhow. And it was a new one. And so I came to the seminar, and that was in 2016. And I came to the seminar like with all my stuff ready to get rid of drug therapy. And within a year I did. And I've never looked back. I didn't. And the funny thing is, when you do something like that, I was afraid I was going to like take a step and implode. I didn't take drug therapy today, I'm just going to blow up. And it turned out I didn't. And every day got better and better. And I was feeling better and better and stronger and stronger. And I came to see you, and you were like, what's this hula hoop all about? So I shared it with you. I was like all agag that day. I still remember. I
Yeah.
was in the hallway with my only hula hoop that I brought with me. You hula hooped. You told some other friends, and then I ended up back at the seminar with you in 2017, sharing the
It was
hula
so
hoop with
fun.
anybody who wants to. It's so my honor to do that, because I walk out with my cup so full, just watching people smile and laugh. And I hear the words, I did it, or I can do it, or look at it go, just
It's
makes me
fun.
so happy. But I also had somebody return last year, and she was beautiful because she moved her walker aside and she's hula hooping. She explains to me how she taught her grandkids how to hula hoop. They call her a cool grandma. And it was like beautiful to hear that story, because I don't always hear those stories, but just to revisit with some people who've kept the hula hoop moving in their lives. So for me, that's so joyful. Just like talking to you is so joyful. And I did it. Food, lifestyle, movement, energy is always part of the story. So I don't want to not talk about this
Oh
book, which
yes.
look, I have this. I was sitting next to
Oh
you during
right.
the photo shoot, and I was so excited to be like close enough to touch you. And I looked at these pictures, and you look so amazing compared to these pictures.
Yeah.
And your story and journey is amazing. And I'm super excited. I couldn't wait for this book to come out. I mean, I was on order, and I was like, it's always next to me. And whenever I, slip down that slippery slope and forget some things, I can go back to the book. And that's why I love having a hard copy of it too, because as much as a digital version, it was good. I love flipping through this and the cookbook as well, because I like
Yeah.
pages. I like the smell of a book, So, so let's talk about the new book coming out and kind of what some of your big learns have been since
Yeah.
this book to the
So
new book.
when
And I'm
that book
super excited. Go.
when that book came out, the idea that food, diet, lifestyle should be an important part of everyone's treatment plan was controversial. People were very afraid that I was creating harm. And a lot of neurologists were saying food has nothing to do with MS. In these intervening 5 years, we understand that food turns genes on and off. Food has a huge impact on your microbiome, which microbes you have. Food as medicine was a controversial idea. The neurologist said that food had no impact on disease course. But since then, we've had so much progress in research, a lot more data on food turning genes on and off, food fertilizing health-promoting bacteria, or disease-promoting bacteria, depending on what you're eating. So
Yeah,
vegetables,
right.
vegetables promote the health-promoting ones. Sugar, processed foods promote the disease-promoting ones. And there's a lot more evidence. The neuroscientists and practicing neurologists are agreeing that if you want to protect your brain against cognitive decline, early dementia, people with MS need to use diet. You want to pay attention to the quality of your diet. You want to pay attention to a stress reduction. You want to pay attention to exercise. And you know what? That sounds a lot like the Wahls Protocol. And then on top of that, we've done many more studies. We have published our results. We are being recognized in these meta-analyses of other MS research. We have received $1 million from the MS Society to compare the Swank diet and the Wahls diet. That study will be getting analyzed in 2020, probably presented in the fall of 2020.
That's in process now, right?
That's in process right now. So those analyses are going through right now. And then the other thing that's happening, we continue to get gifts from donors. And so we are now recruiting newly diagnosed multiple sclerosis patients who've been offered drugs that have declined them. We'll train them on the diet and lifestyle and compare them to a cohort of newly diagnosed MS patients who are getting standard of care, which would be drug therapy. And so prospectively, we'll get quality of life, walking, thinking, vision measures, and we will get MRIs. So we'll be able to answer the question, are people hurt by declining drugs, but using diet and lifestyle? Is it this equivalent, or is it better to do diet and lifestyle?
Right.
Really, really important questions. We're thrilled that we can continue to answer that very, very critical question. So I've gone from being, this sort of eccentric oddity to being viewed as this brilliant visionary who actually is onto some very important concepts.
Yeah, so important. And yeah, it's interesting. When I was first diagnosed and going to my doctor, I was going to Johns Hopkins. I'd already been to 2 places in Chicago. And I remember, and I declined until that bad year. I had declined, and then I got super scared because I was exhausted, stressed out, and way overdone. And I remember him specifically saying, healthy food can't hurt you, but he didn't say the opposite of it could help you. And I think the biggest thing, no matter what, when I'm talking to people about food, is it's like, it can help you and it can hurt you. I mean, how, and this is the other question people say, how can you eat that way? And my answer is pretty much, I can't afford to not eat this way. I mean, I have to eat this way. This makes sense to me. But then the cost always comes in, and I try to, you have a good answer for that when it comes to cost, because people say it's too expensive to eat kale.
So a couple of things I want to point out is, so in the VA, I take care of people for years who are living on food stamps, on disability, fixed incomes. And so I would teach them how to implement these concepts while living and surviving on food stamps. And so it meant cooking classes, teaching them how to shop, and we had marvelous results. Yes, you can, and we want people to do things within their monetary means. What you do have to do is learn how to cook. And so we have strategies for meat eaters and non-meat eaters.
Right.
We teach people how to cook, assuming they don't know how, don't have any of the equipment, so we work on that as well. And I also teach people to embrace their symptoms. That if you are able to link your energy, your mental clarity, your pain, your muscle function, motor function, visual function to your diet and lifestyle, so that you can really pick up on, I'm doing really great right now, so I'm taking really good care of myself. I have a dietary indiscretion. Now my vision is not as good. My energy is not as good. Or hopefully, I pray for people to have pain, because that's very helpful, that you get a flare of symptoms when you go off the diet. That makes it much easier to stay on track. And we talk about being really attuned to your biosensors. Whether your biosensors have to do with your vision or your coordination, or in my case, pain, that makes it much easier for me to say, like, that food is, yes, it looks tasty, but I really like not having pain. So it's very easy to either plan ahead, bring my own food, and I do a fair amount of time talking about how to be successful, how to treat making these big changes like dealing with any addiction. You have to clean the environment, set up your environment for success.
Yes, it's true.
So I spend a lot more time in the new book talking about behavior change, about addiction, about
Yep.
how our environment sets us up for success or
Or
struggle.
yes.
A lot and
Agree.
lots of struggle.
Yes.
So important that because many of my peers who write um, in the health and wellness space have great plans, but we don't necessarily give you good tools on how to make that change easier
Right.
to adopt and then sustain. Because
Right.
changing our habits is a complicated process. So in this book, we've given you many more tools to be more successful with that.
I think
I've
I think
also,
you're right.
yeah,
I think that is hard. I'd say, what do you think though, if you were going to pick one thing, because it's a lot of tools. There's the environment, there's the people, there's the food, there's somebody else who's not compliant with you at home. There are so many things that can sometimes, even the TV, you see something on TV, you're feeling weak, you go and look for something you know you
yeah.
shouldn't have. What do you think your biggest, if you're going to give somebody one tip, what would you say about setting yourself up for success?
The most important one is to have great clarity of why you're on this journey. What,
Absolutely.
what do you want your health for? And I talk about what was motivating for me, which were that my two children were watching,
Yep.
and I could either model resilience, that you got up and keep doing everything you can, even though it's difficult, or getting discouraged and giving up. And
Yeah.
because I wanted them to be willing to work at it when things were hard, that
Right.
meant I had to get up and do it every day, even if it was hard.
Get
Um,
up and do it. You got to show up, right?
Got to show up every day.
Every
And
day.
and furthermore, the other thing that I talk about is if you want to inspire people, you do the things that are hard. Doing the easy stuff is not that inspiring.
No, no.
Having a lemonade on a hot day, not so inspiring. Getting up every day, no matter how tired you are, and going off to work with MS, now that's very inspiring.
It sure is.
So
You
that's
know,
inspiring to my kids. Doing what is
even,
hard, where success is not guaranteed.
yeah,
That is what is inspiring.
even more inspiring to me was the fact that not only were you getting up, going to work, you coming home, and then you like are living with brain fog, trying to slow this down, and then you're studying. And I find I'm so much fresher in the morning that trying to study at night sometimes isn't like, doesn't
No,
work well.
that's
And
right. That was very hard. That was very
yeah,
hard. Uh, but
that's inspiring.
but that was the time that I could do this. That was the time
Right.
that I could do this, and it was such an important task to try and figure out, make sure I was doing everything that I possibly could. Uh,
Absolutely.
and then the other thing I talk a lot about is treating this like an addiction. When we're trying to change behaviors, then you really work on creating the environment that supports the behavior change that you want. So you make it easier to do the stuff you want, and you make
Right.
it harder to do the things you don't want to be doing.
Exactly. That shift is so important. And I think you are an amazing person. And I want to thank you so much for being here with me today. It will be so my honor to just keep talking about the book as soon as it comes out, because that is for the next group of people that needs you. I was I was so blessed to see your TED Talk. Somebody sent me that link. Thank goodness, disclaimers and all that the TED Talk lives on.
Yes, yeah.
And then I waited for this book, and I'm sure there's going to be other people waiting for the next book, because this is something that people can touch,
Yeah,
feel, heal, and manage with.
correct. We have a lot more information on the dietary plan, on how to personalize the food recommendations based on your particular issues, in the many ways you can get into ketosis, ketogenic eating, fasting, anti-longevity. So I have updated and refined the eating plan. So
Terrific.
lots more new information here.
I'm so excited about it. I can't wait for it myself. So where can people find you if they're interested in getting more information about you, about your seminar, about your research, and all that you have going on? Because you are just one fantastic person with all those little poop hats behind you. That is just great.
Yes. I love my poops.
Because that's important.
Absolutely. So come to Terry Wahls, Terry, Wahls, WAHLS.com. That's the website. If you go add /diet, there's a one-page overview that'll get you started on the program. And terrywahls.com/research papers gets you access to the videos where you can see people from baseline, how much progress they could make with improving their gait after a year. So those are incredibly inspiring. So you want to pick that up as well. terrywahls.com/diet, terrywahls.com/research papers.
Terrific, terrific. And of course, if you happen to be available in the summer, that last weekend of August, right?
No, last weekend of July, first
Oh.
weekend of August. This is so many people can get the book, be transformed, be successful. They're even
absolutely.
more successful when they come to the seminar, be there with 300 other people. We go through a group functional medicine consult, and then we practice skills, we learn, we have fun, we sing, we dance, we hula hoop, we have amazing food, amazing friendships. And so that information, terrywahls.com/seminar.
And for me, that is a journey that is become a journey of love and passion every year as I hula hoop my way to Cedar Rapids, Iowa City, and I've hula hooped in my old high school town of Williamsburg, and I go back there every year now. And for me, it's a joy and reminder that it's you, it's what you do for yourself. It's about being with you at the conference, but meeting other people who are in it with you, doing the same journey. And you can sit and talk to people, and you can sort of feel the camaraderie, because sometimes you're not with people who get it. There's a challenge, and everybody has different things and needs, and somebody who is that pain would love to talk to somebody else who has that pain, just because then they can talk to each other. And somebody who's really that gluten sensitive person can talk to somebody else who has that same sensitivity. And it's just a way to connect and feel you're in the tribe together, right?
We're in the tribe together.
That's
Absolutely.
right. And it's a magic wand, if you ask me, because you can pick up a copy of her new book. I've got the first edition, but you can pick a copy of that new book up and realize that you have the power to embrace what's happening with you and change what's happening with you. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart each and every day for doing what you did by stepping onto that TED stage in Iowa City, Iowa, and being there for me, because I'm sure you did it just for me and all the other people who needed you. Terry, thank you so much for your time, for your energy, and for your endurance.
You're very welcome. Love to you and your tribe.
Absolutely. To yours always, because I love them.